When you're shooting a documentary solo, there's no one to hide behind. Every decision is yours, from exposure, sound, storytelling, and the moment itself. It's not easy, but it's one of the best ways to grow as a filmmaker. When you have to make every call, you start to trust your own instincts. Read the room and find beauty in what's real. What's going on, world? I'm Eric D. Seals, and today we're talking about how to shoot a documentary solo and keeping it cinematic. Whether you're capturing an intimate story, chasing a moment in the field, or filming interviews on your own, this is about how to stay creative while staying in control. Let's break down the mindset, the gear, and the process that makes solo filmmaking work. The mindset of shooting solo. When you're working alone, you're not just a cinematographer. You're the director, sound operator, producer, and the editor all at once. The sooner you realize that you're not going to capture every moment, the better that you're going to be. As doc DPs, cinematographers, directors, filmmakers, we're always trying to be in every scene at once. And that is one of the quickest ways to get horrible footage because you're not going to get everything. When you focus on making sure that you're capturing what matters in the story, you're going to have a better image, you're going to have a better story, and overall a better doc. Understand that there are things that are going to happen, there are shots that are going to happen, there are moments that are going to happen, there's things that are going to be said that you're not going to be able to capture. But that's totally okay. It's part of the process. And the sooner you know that, the sooner you'll start to get better at what you're doing. And the reason for that is because you're going to start to think about, what do I want to capture? And how this is more important than trying to capture everything. So it's the quality that you're capturing in the room, not the quantity. When you're in a scene and you're about to capture it, the first thing you need to do is take a deep breath and slow down. If you try to capture everything that happens, you're just going to get a whole bunch of shots that are not going to be usable. And there's something about us as filmmakers, like we get behind the camera, we start filming a scene and we just start thinking about all the things that we're missing. Let those things go. It'll be okay because your audience will appreciate more that you stayed patient instead of trying to run around and have shaky and shots all over the place. Just slow down is the most important thing. When you can stay present in the moment and not chasing the shots, you're starting to listen better because you're not thinking about all the things you're not getting. You're able to listen with your headphones, watch with your eyes, and see what's unfolding in front of you. And so that makes your decision making a lot better. Every scene has rhythm and patterns. And the sooner you start to realize what they are for that moment, the better you're gonna be able to capture that scene. And you only do that by staying patient. To me, the best solo filmmakers don't react to chaos. They move with it. They become a part of it. Preparing before you roll. Shooting solo starts way before you ever touch the camera. Preparation is what gives you freedom later on. What I think is important for more solo filmmakers to do is to research their subject before you film with them. Learn about who they are, what they do. It's one thing to just come into a scene and start filming with someone, but it's another to really understand who they are. A pre-production phone call is gonna go a long way to understand what type of person they are. Do they talk fast? Do they talk slow? Are they interrupting people all the time? Are they quiet and to themselves? These different things you'll be able to learn when you're with someone. Another preparation that's important is packing your equipment so that you can be successful. Now, I can think about some of my earlier docs when I was filming pretty much solo. I brought way too much stuff. I brought way too many lenses, 2 different camera bodies. I just had all these different things, monopods, tripods, and I'm just like, if you're by yourself, you're not going to be able to carry all those things and capture your scene in a great way. Like, I think it's important that you can go all day with something that can fit in hopefully a backpack. So when you do get in the room, you can either put it off to the side or you just wear it the entire time. Having one lens, especially in a verite scene that you can utilize throughout the whole entire day, is probably what I would go for. Maybe having one backup lens if you want to do some type of interviews, but essentially having that one lens that can fit your camera and go all day. So for me, my lens of choice is the 28-105 by Sigma. It's a 2.8 aperture and I can use that all day. The sooner that I learned that the lighter I pack, the better I can film has been a game changer for me because I was a person who was packing too much equipment back in the day. And so what this allows me to do is not be bogged down by making sure that I have different cases in different areas and who's gonna be watching my case and what lens do I wanna use. Once you have more choices, it slows you down. So because you're reacting and you're by yourself, more importantly, you need to be focusing on capturing the scene with what you have. Going into every scene, I'm always thinking about how I'm going to capture audio. Am I with two people? If I'm with one person, do I think this person's gonna be talking to a lot of other people? Do I even need to have a live mic? Can I do everything from the shotgun? Like, all of these things need to go into your decision making before you get there, and that's why questions are so important when you're going to film with someone or something, because bad audio is going to ruin all of your visuals, and being able to anticipate what audio you're going to be running into as far as the needs that you have is gonna be the key to getting a great doc. The technical flow. When you're solo, that means every setup that you have is working twice as hard. What I'm about to say depends on what type of camera you have and what type of situation you have. But for a long time, the school of thought was to have these expensive, big, complex rigs that allow for people to look like they know what they're doing. You look like a filmmaker because your rig is so built up. Not saying that that's bad, but one of the most important things that you can do is keep a simple rig and keep it lightweight, and having a small monitor on you and all your controls easy to reach, and not having a whole bunch of different type of battery connections. When you're solo, it's important to keep a simple rig because you don't want to be troubleshooting when you're in the field. I didn't know this at first, but you always need to be monitoring your audio. It not only allows you to see the quality of the audio that you have, but it also allows you to make decisions, because most people say what they're going to do before they do it. The audio is really the gateway to great visual footage. Monitor your audio constantly and use headphones, even if it feels awkward. It's the way to go. I try to tell people that it's important that you move intentionally or don't move at all. At the end of the day, whatever you decide to do, don't have random movements. Have intention. Know your beginning and end of a shot. Know your entrance and your exit of a shot. And if you need to build a situation so that you can get the movement perfect so that you can tell the story, do that thing. There's nothing worse than having camera movement that is unsure of itself. So if anything, if you're gonna make a mistake at 1,000 miles per hour, because it won't make the cut. A gimbal looks like a gimbal all the time, and it usually encourages people to do movements that are not needed to tell the story. An easy rig is amazing and it saves your back, but it also limits the type of shots you can get. The other thing with the easy rig is you're limited on where you can go. Sometimes you can't get through doors. You definitely can't get into cars. If you look at my rig, it's built off of putting it on the shoulder. So you're gonna see it on my shoulder a majority of the time. You're gonna see it on my hip, so I can get a lower angle, which is a little bit more cinematic. You're gonna see it on the ground. And then sometimes, I don't do this too much, I will put it on top of my head with the shape shoulder rig that I have if I need to get a little bit higher. Good technical flow means that you're not thinking about the gear anymore and you're focusing on what's good for the story. Building story through coverage. When you're filming solo, coverage becomes strategy. Every shot has to count. Every time I walk into a scene, I'm thinking about how do I want to cover this? And there's some staples that I think about every time I go into a room. So the easiest one is making sure that I get a wide shot. I want to show the audience what this room looks like, what this scene looks like, what the outdoor looks like, so that they can build in their head where we're about to go. The next thing I'm gonna do is make sure that I get detailed shots. This is not only important to give context to what the room looks like, a texture to the room, but it also serves as cutaways. If you have two people that have a conversation and then we have a detailed shot of something on the coffee table, and then we have a detailed shot of the TV being on, and then a detailed shot of the couch, and then we come back to them. So these detailed shots help give the room more information. The next thing that you need to be considering is looking for reaction shots and transitions to help the edit flow. So when two people are in a room and they're having a conversation, it's natural to say, I'm going to film the person talking the entire time. But it's very important that you also think about what's good for the edit. The other cheat code that I always try to tell people is make sure that each scene has a beginning and end, whether that's someone walking into a room versus someone exiting a room, someone walking off into the distance, someone coming out of the car. Thinking about that every single time that you have a moment will make your documentary feel better. Coverage isn't about filming more, it's about shooting with intention. Surviving the day. Filming solo takes stamina, both mental and physical. When you're filming, you need to pace yourself. Like, I know you want to run around and get everything that's happening in the scene, but like, you need to have a full day with them or multiple days. And so you being exhausted is going to kill your creativity faster than any bad lighting will. So pace yourself. And it doesn't mean that you are taking a break and filming from the couch. Capture the scene in the moment in different ways so that you can conserve some energy at times. Sometimes you're gonna need to be standing for a long time. Sometimes you may not be able to. And so just knowing that it's a marathon and not a sprint is going to help you capture better footage. Take breaks when possible. Even if you have a 5-minute break, even if you set the camera, like when you see me film, I'll find different places to set the camera, whether it be on the ground, part of the reason why I put the camera on the ground sometimes. Sometimes it might be on those yellow posts that are in the street. Sometimes it'll be on the table. Sometimes I'll just take 5. I think it's important to make sure that you can last all day and not think of it as a sprint. You gotta stay organized. And so since you're by yourself and you don't have an AC with you, labeling your clips and backing up your footage is going to be a quick way to make sure that you keep everything that you shot. If you can slow down and make sure that you're either building it into your schedule or doing it throughout the day, is gonna make a big difference. So one of the things that I've changed recently is I try to rename the clips in camera that represent what I'm doing. So before, I just had a standard naming convention and I just let it run from 0 to 9999. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but now I've taken it a step further where every time I do a new project, I have a similar naming convention, but then I also add the client's name or info or the doc that I'm working on. It just allows me to stay, more organized because, at DigiFed, we have probably 120 terabytes. I personally, on my server, have over 70 terabytes. It can get unorganized real quick. The number one thing that you cannot do is do not allow your camera to start from 0 every time you press record or putting in a new media card or swapping the battery. That will quickly be a disaster because you have multiple shoots with that clip 0001. And if you don't rename your clips and if it's not continuing to number them as it goes up in recording clips, you're gonna have 20 different projects that have 0001. Filming documentaries solo will test every skill that you have and reveal the ones that you didn't know you had. It forces you to slow down, to trust your instincts, and to build stories one decision at a time. We talked about the mindset, the preparation, technical flow, coverage, and how to survive long solo days without burning out. Because at the end of the day, solo filmmaking isn't about being alone, it's about being completely present. I'm Eric D. Seals. Keep your focus steady, your story clear, and your creativity alive.
Hi, I'm Eric Seals. I'm the tape man. Cameraman!